Friends, I did say Michael would love Jane until his dying breath.
He's not breathing.
Call 911.
Why did Michael have to die?
You know, it was always part of the journey that I envisioned at the beginning was a woman who really believed in fantasy and the magic of romance and had a real, just big dreams in her life, and things don't work out like that all the time. And it's always been about the balance, the shift from her believing, her relationship between fantasy and reality. And Michael's death, the show started with such a big sort of earthquake for Jane when she found out she was unexpectedly pregnant. And Michael's death was always going to be the midpoint of the show where everything changed again in her life and everything changed for everybody around her. And I'm interested in, our show's a very optimistic show. How do you move on after that? How does a character who is so optimistic and who has such big dreams and big hopes and believes in this fairy tale, how does she get that optimism back after loss? And loss is something that we all face, and it always feels so specific and individual, and then you realize like everybody goes through it at some point in their life, and I wanted to explore that and figure out how we could find the comedy and the joy after an event like that.
You said midpoint. Does it mean that the show will run for 5 seasons? I did the math. It was...
Well, it's the midpoint of my storytelling, but we don't have any, you know, who knows?
No news yet.
But, you know, when we began Jane, you know, it's a telenovela, so you always want to build to an ending and have that ending in sight and not just spin wheels. So in the plotting of the show as a whole, this was around the middle where I thought this event would happen. And she would always see her life before and after this event.
And Gina, this moment was foreshadowed in the first season, but were you on board with that decision to kill off Michael, or were you hoping that she would change her mind?
Jenny's always kept us not necessarily in the know of what the storyline is, which is beautiful and has always been a challenge as an actor, because usually you know where your character is going and you know your character's journey, but it's been really incredible to kind of walk through this series and this show and Jane's story the way you walk through life, which is not necessarily knowing what's going to happen next. And when I found out, she told me the season prior, like at the end of season 2, she was like, so this is going to be the you know, pretty much the last 10 episodes with Brett. And I was like, what? And we had a good cry.
Yeah.
Because Brett has been the most incredible acting partner I could ever have dreamed of. I mean, between action and cut, I was almost certain I was head over heels in love with him. But I trust Jenny so much. She has given me a project that has made me stretch as an actor, grow, transform, play. I am never tired with Jane. I never feel like I'm in a rut. I always feel like she's stretching me and stretching the possibilities and throwing things at me to help me grow as an actor. So this was definitely one of them, to lose an acting partner that you're so comfortable with and used to, and to find, you know, strength in working with new people and working with new love interests and, you know, finding new chemistry. It's been I mean, I trust her fully. So I was like, okay, I believe in your storytelling, because it's what's gotten us here.
Are we getting closer to finding out who the narrator is? I do care.
That you will not find out probably until the last episode.
For so long, it was a romantic comedy, love triangle, Raphael and Michael and Jane, and now it's a mom comedy about Jane dealing with being a mom. Will that change?
Right after, in episode 11, about 11 to 15, although it's a 3-year time jump for the audience, for the characters, it's not for the audience. So there was a real easing into life after Michael for the audience and for us as storytellers and for the cast, everything. You know, you want to make sure that you give that event enough weight and that we can find the big comic set pieces, but that they can always be girded by this very real emotional loss. And so the first 5 episodes after the time jump were that. I think you'll find as we move into 16, 17, and 18, there's a lot of light and joy that's coming back. There are love interests. There are, you know, but it's all, you know, how does she move on after this? You know, that we had this big event at the beginning of the unexpected pregnancy, and that gave just the weight of we were able to go on all these flights of fancy, but we knew that she was dealing with something real. At this point in the story, there is no without Mateo. You know, Jane is a mom. She's with him all the time. There is no, she can't imagine her life had that event not happened. So this was another moment that you can't expect in life and that you have to recalibrate everything. And for this character who's such a planner and had her life all planned out, these curveballs are really important in order to keep her growing and changing and moving and to keep the storytelling not stale, and to give, and you know, I have this actress who can do the biggest, funniest, broadest comedy and also the most intimate, human, dramatic, I mean, you saw. So, you know, I write to that. I write knowing that I have that, you know, and that there's no journey. She can be laughing one minute and crying the next. And to have an actress that can do that is a gift as a writer, because we know in the writer's room, this is going to be a tough episode. She can do it. She can bridge that tone. She can get us from here to here, and she can have us laughing, and then we can cry, and it's going to feel real. So that's my gift.
And losing Brett was very real. So it wasn't like Jane was just losing Michael, like I was losing my acting partner that I loved so much. So I would say the death of the episode prior, episode 10, where I'm told that he's dead and I'm just like on the phone, no words, and I have to just fall over, and that was a very difficult, yeah. And it's so interesting because I did that at like midnight on like a Thursday, you know? Who's up at midnight on a Thursday? Not me, usually.